Kong 2005 is directed by Peter Jackson, stars Naomi Watts, Jack Black, Adrien Brody, who all plays Andero, Carl Denham, and Jack Driscoll in the film. And this film tells or at least retells the story of the original King Kong film, where a group of filmmakers head off to Skull Island to try and film some footage of the legendary creatures that roam around there, and are greeted by unwelcoming natives who take Andero to their god Kong. Kong takes a liking to the girl, falls in love, and they all get into shenanigans while the crew members of the ship and the filmmakers try to go into the jungles to try and find her. And once they do, they also find the ape himself, Kong, and they had the bright idea of bringing him to New York to show him off to the world, the eighth wonder of the world. But when everything goes wrong and Kong escapes, he finds Andero once again, takes her up on top of the Empire State Building, airplanes come in, shoot him down, Kong is dead, and end of movie. And this might be just me telling the exact same story of the original film. And it very much is that same film. But it's also very different in terms of the way it portrays itself. This film is a 3-hour epic. A little more if you include the extended edition, and it wastes no time on it. Now, truth be told, it was this version of King Kong that really got me loving the ape himself. This is the DVD I grew up with. I still think it holds up pretty well. And watching the extended edition, I think it is even better. I absolutely loved this film, and still to this day I really do think it is one of the best remakes I have ever seen, because it actually stays true to the original while also creating its own identity. There was not a dull moment where I felt like the movie is just slowing down and nothing interesting is happening. There's always something interesting going on. At least in the second and third act. That first act was pretty rough. The opening of the film when they were in New York was a great setup. I love how they set up Andero's character, and where we see her becoming to fall to the Great Depression era when she is trying to get her acting career together. And once she gets the chance of a lifetime to be in this production with Carl Denham, played by Jack Black, you really feel her cautiousness, but also slight excitement and interest of what the journey might be ahead of her. And it's her character alone that really much saves the entire film. I really like Jack Black as Carl Denham here. I'm one of the people that actually think he did quite a good job. But after watching the original film, Robert Armstrong did a much better job in terms of portraying the character. And that's kind of no surprise. He was the original actor, and you had a lot to live up to. And Adrien Brody as Jack Driscoll, he was fine. I did not really buy the romance as much, but it worked for what the movie needed it to have, and it never really bothered me. But you want to see King Kong, and King Kong is awesome here. Portrayed by motion capture performer Andy Serkis, the actor gives so much more emotion to Kong than any other actor could ever do for such a character. He is like the go-to guy for motion capture. Even some of his bad movies, if he is doing motion capture there, he's most likely going to do an excellent job. He is a master of motion capture, and here he brings King Kong to life by adding a good sense of animalistic behaviors to the character to make him feel like a primate. But he also adds a level of humanity where you can actually see what the beast is emoting on the screen. and you genuinely care for him. And also, unlike that 1974 remake where it gets creepy and sexual with the relationship between Andero and Kong, here it's just portrayed as a friendship, a small bonding in which these characters just really do care for each other, but not really in a romantic sense. But the fact, like, the best way I could compare is like your relationship to your dog. You love your dog, but you don't have sexual relations with your dog, and your dog doesn't gently tears down your shirt to reveal your breasts slightly. There's nothing like that, like in that weird Kong movie. Here, it just feels natural. It feels right, and I love the way this relationship was portrayed. And I gotta say, the special effects here, they were obviously going to be better than the original because the original came out in 1933 and this was 2005. Most likely you're going to have great special effects. And Peter Jackson, he just went to 2015 levels of special effects here. I don't know how he was able to get the technology at the time as good as it is. I mean, this movie looks fantastic. Skull Island feels dangerous. Almost in every corner, you are afraid that something might happen to the characters, or a dinosaur or a creepy crawly is gonna jump out and get you and eat you alive. And obviously the fight between the three V-Rexes and Kong, which was the highlight of the entire film. It was awesome. As a kid, it was one of my favorite dinosaur sequences, along with the T-Rex chasing the car in Jurassic Park. Like, it was awesome. The way that Kong was able to outsmart the T-Rexes in many ways, and then rip out its tongue with its mouth and break its jaw like in the original film. It was such a cool callback to that film, while also feeling just extremely awesome for its time. And the music, my god, James Newton Howard, oh my god. This, or is it James Newton Howard? Could be wrong. I hope I am right. And yes, James Newton Howard. He does a fantastic job with the score. The score has a mixture of the original film score while also touching it up a little bit, but also feeling wholly original on its own. The theme between Kong and Andero, in which they meet in the city for the first time after Kong gets captured, that is one of my favorite pieces of the soundtrack. I always love the soft melody. And while it does feel romantic in a way, it never feels out of place because you already now at this point care for this relationship Kong and Andero has. And so when this moment comes up, the song choice actually fits very well. And while the skating in the ice park, I think, or is it probably a little lake? I think it's just an ice park. While that's a little silly, it still feels genuine. And that's what I have to say about the entire film. It feels very much genuine, like it was made by a true fan of the original, which Peter Jackson is, and he just wanted to make the best movie out of it as he can. What I also love is how he was able to recreate the lost pit sequence that was deleted from the original film, where all that was left was a photo of the scene. And he recreated it here beautifully. Like, I want to see the original version, but here it feels deadly. It feels dangerous, almost like a horror film. And it's one of my favorite sequences in the film. Also, the finale in which King Kong enters the Empire State Building. Oh my god. The special effects were not only just amazing, they were perfect. and the emotional weight it carries was even more significant because the relationship between Ann Darrow here is greatly much more improved than in the original film. And so when King Kong actually dies, I actually kind of cried a little more than the original film, where it just left me felt, oh, that's sad. Here, I actually felt genuine emotion. And James Newton Howard's score mixing in with all of that, it just created a beautiful finale. And I cannot sing this movie's praises enough. Most of my criticism that I said had to go with that first act in which the characters were on the ship. I think that segment of the film is fine, but there comes a point where the movie spends a little too much time on some minor characters that could be deleted. Like that whole segment, I could go without. But it did a good job of establishing the crew members very well, and at least you're able to get the actors here do the best they can, and they all do a good job. And King Kong himself proves why we love this ape so much. And for that reason, I'm going to give King Kong 2005 an A-. Definitely a film you should guys check out, and I cannot wait to see Godzilla vs. Kong next week. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys next time.